Yo, it is Thaya, and today we are at the Malu Malu Resort in Pasikuda, and I am joined with none other than Johnny FD.
Hey guys.
So this video is actually to answer a few questions with regards to our Work from Paradise campaign, which Chanel and I have been promoting, and I figured who better to ask these questions from the man himself, the guy who's been promoting, location independent working.
So just a little background on me. I've been working and traveling since 2013, so about 7 years now as a digital nomad. I've been working out of Thailand, out of all of Asia, to Mexico, to all of Europe, and I'm really comfortable working from my laptop, kind of from everywhere. Sri Lanka has been kind of a toss-up, where on one hand, it has some qualities that I really love that digital nomads or remote workers would really love. For example, low cost of living, great weather, just all these places to see and culture. So one of the ideal things that people look for, and including myself, is to be able to have beach access during the day, whether we go surfing or even just for a swim, and then to be able to work from somewhere really nice and comfortable in the afternoons, and then have a nice community to go out with at night, whether it's for drinks or for live music and entertainment. And in some cases, it's been perfect. Like Aragon Bay, for example, where we spent the last 2 months, is idyllic for that. Wake up, beautiful surf in the morning, some of the best surfing in the world. And then we have a nice breakfast in the local town where we have local Sri Lankan food, dal and rotis. And it's a 200 rupee breakfast, so like $1 breakfast. And it's like amazing. It's like life cannot be better. You spend a few dollars for the surfboard, $1 for breakfast, and you're thinking, my life is amazing. You sit down with your laptop, and sometimes it's amazing because you can work with the beach view, but there's also downsides. A couple of them would be, first, it gets really hot in the afternoon, regardless of where you are. And there's not that many places outside of Colombo. And a lot of you are gonna think, well, everything you're gonna say now, Johnny, we have it in Colombo. We have co-working spaces. We have these comfortable AC places. But here's the thing is, as a digital nomad, we want to be by like the idyllic beaches, kind of like the travel destination beaches with surfing, with these beautiful white sand beaches like in Pasikuda here. We know Colombo has a beach, but it's not nothing like this. And for the people that live in Colombo, you guys know too. That's why you guys come all the way here and drive 6 hours. So Colombo is kind of out of the question for most. I would say all digital nomads I know, we would just skip it. We would rather be in the rest of the country. And the problem with the rest of the country is it's not really set up for co-working. There's very few co-working spaces. There's maybe 1 or 2 that have popped up, and they aren't real true co-working spaces. They're in the infancy, and hopefully they get better. But right now they're kind of just starting out. There's not that many coffee shops that are kind of like that Western style where we can go order some coffee, work for an hour, order some lunch, work for an hour, and spend 4 hours or 5 hours there with power outlets and comfortable chairs. It just doesn't really work that way.
I think on the south coast you might find a bit more, but definitely on the east coast not so much.
And even in the south coast, like near Baligama, there was a few that popped up, usually with Russian owners, because they kind of like that style as well. So it's starting to get good. But there's so few, and there's even fewer places with air conditioning. Because it's just too hot during the day to work. So a lot of people end up working from their rooms, and then you feel a bit isolated. You're like, well, I don't want to be stuck in my room all day. Here in Aragon Bay, there's 2 places. One's called Bites, which is really tiny with maybe 4 chairs. And there's a new taco place called Saga that has AC, but half the time the internet doesn't work. So, and in the south, there was a few places as well, but just like in Chiang Mai, for example, where we were, there are literally 60 coffee shops you can go to.
And it's got spaces for meetups and different things as well.
And that's
more geared for it.
Exactly. So that just doesn't exist here yet.
So I'm just going to dive into the questions that we got. So shout out to Timothy, who's been watching our videos and sent us a few of these questions. And if there are any of you who would like to know anything else, feel free to drop it down below. We want to address these issues and try and offer as much information for those planning to come to Sri Lanka. All right, so the first question, do people speak English?
Yes, and the English levels here are way better than most of Asia. Not everybody, and it depends on who you talk to, right? Like if you go to a nice restaurant or hotel, the staff will speak English.
Yeah.
If you go to some local rice and curry shop, maybe they won't, but that's part of the culture.
Yep.
And I've never had a problem getting by. So I would say at least 7 out of 10. So really good.
Awesome. Are there creepy crawlies?
Oh, bugs. You know what's funny is somebody said, "Oh, I would never go to Sri Lanka because of snakes."
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've been in Sri Lanka for 6 months, and it's not like I see snakes all the time. Like there's been 1 or 2 instances where I happened, I was staying somewhere and the gardener found the snake somewhere else.
Yeah.
But it's never affected my life.
Yep.
I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's good public hospitals here, and I'm sure they know how to deal with snake bites.
It's definitely not an issue like that.
It's not a big deal.
Yep. Awesome. How is the healthcare in Sri Lanka? Have you had any experience on that front?
Luckily, I've never had to go to the hospital here.
Yeah.
But from my friends who have, they were actually very pleasantly surprised.
Okay.
First, it's free for Sri Lankans, but actually for tourists, it's kind of a weird gray zone where they have no way of billing insurance companies or travel insurance,
right.
So they can't even collect the money.
Oh.
I think that adds an unnecessary strain on the public healthcare, because a lot of travelers, we have either health insurance or travel insurance.
Yep.
If we're not paying for it out of pocket anyways, we don't mind you billing our travel insurance company to get the money back.
True.
But because they don't have this way of billing, they usually just say, okay, well, it's free, but if you want to give us a donation, you can.
Right.
Which is nice for people that can't afford it, but every traveler, every digital nomad I know has travel insurance or should have it.
Yeah. And just to add on to that, you would be able to pay for your services if you were in the cities like Colombo or Kandy or Galle have private hospitals, but the rest of the places around the island are public hospitals, and so it's generally free for the locals, and I'm guessing they haven't really thought about how they cater to tourists. So I think that's a really good point, and if there is anyone who is able to reach out to people who would be able to kind of put something in place for that, that would be an amazing thing to have.
Definitely.
Beneficial for the country and peace of mind for travelers coming in.
There's one thing though that long-term travelers need to be wary of is not every pharmaceutical item is available in Sri Lanka. So if you have a prescription and you are gonna, you need to find out ahead of time if you can fill it in Sri Lanka,
right?
Because there's some things that are not available and they can't even order it. So I don't know if that's because of the lockdown right now. But I think honestly, in general, they're like, well, this isn't something that we normally stock, so too bad. So you might have to bring your 3-month supply with you if they don't sell it here.
Or check in the city. Maybe.
Or even then, sometimes like even in Colombo, they say we may be able to order this from India, but maybe not.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Not sure if you'll be able to answer this, but is there a good schooling option for kids? In your experience with talking to other people, have you heard anything about that? Or?
So, I guess the better question would be, is it a good place to bring your kids long-term for like to grow up here? From people I met, there's lots of expats that live in Colombo or in Kandy. And they seem to be happy, they seem to be fine. The kids seem to be fine. So I don't know that much about the subject, so look into it yourself, but in general, Sri Lanka is pretty family friendly. And I'm sure there's options for expats.
Awesome. All right. How well do foreigners integrate into society in Sri Lanka? Are Sri Lankan people welcoming to foreigners?
So Sri Lanka is actually one of the few places where I made a lot of local friends. And I try to make local friends wherever I go. In Thailand, for example, I've lived there for so many years, and I know, I have local Thai friends, but I've never been to their house. I've never met their family.
Yeah.
It's not like, it's more an acquaintance.
Right.
Well, I feel like in Sri Lanka, people are a lot more open, and they will invite you to their house. They will invite you
For a cup of tea.
or even just to hang out with their local friends. So
Right.
I feel like you integrate a lot faster in Sri Lanka, and because most Sri Lankans speak English, it's easier to integrate as well.
Awesome. Yeah. So the next one is internet fast and reliable? I think we've answered that.
Yeah. Dialogue, please. Or there's the four, right?
Yeah, there's 4: Dialogue, Mobitel, Hutch.
One of you, whichever one of you comes out with unlimited data, and not just for mobile phones.
Yeah.
I would say it's more important to have it for the line, the broadband line.
Yeah.
There's no reason why hotels, coffee shops, and even apartments should have a data cap. That should be illegal.
Yeah. So true. Is it safe for foreigners over there, especially women?
It's very safe in general. It's one of the safest countries, especially even right now. Even during this pandemic, I felt very, very safe.
Yeah.
I'm never worried about somebody stealing my phone or my laptop. I can be somewhere, leave my phone on the table, go wash my hands, come back, and not worry that someone's gonna take it in those few seconds. Places like Bali, people are getting robbed all the time, and people don't want to talk about it because they don't want to spoil the reputation. In Sri Lanka, the difference is if something does happen, people want to talk about it and they want to take action to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Yep.
Because bad things happen in every country, in every city.
Yep.
But the difference is, I feel like in Sri Lanka, they have your back.
Yeah.
If somebody, knock on wood, but if somebody ended up robbing me and I posted it on Facebook, you have Sri Lankans that say, we want to help. Let me help you find this person.
Yeah.
Let me let's make sure this person goes to jail. Let me make sure this goes into the news so everybody knows. And let's make sure this never happens again.
Yeah. Definitely.
In Bali, it happens every day somebody's getting robbed.
Yeah.
But
there's very little done.
you try to report it and they tell you, if you're rich, you can afford it. Leave the country if you don't like Bali.
Yeah, true. All right, and the last one. Sri Lanka has had some safety and security issues in the past. What is the current situation?
In general, Sri Lanka is way safer than anywhere in the US and in most countries I've been to. There was 10 years of civil war that ended 10 plus years ago. So in people's minds, there's security issues. And unfortunately, there has been, bad things that have happened a few years ago. And it doesn't mean it'll never happen again. But it's more likely to happen in any big city in the US or even in Europe. So I feel very safe here because day to day, I feel very safe. And just because one thing happens in one part of the city, once every 5 or 10 years, you can't help it. I wish things wouldn't happen, but it's overall is very, very safe, and I'm very happy here. I would say the only thing that is very unsafe here are the bus drivers. And this, it's not just an annoyance, it's a physical safety issue because when we're on our bikes or if we're walking or even if we're in a tuk-tuk or in a taxi and a bus is driving over the speed limit on the wrong side of the road on a curvy hip mountain to try to race to get the next fare so they can make an extra 20 rupee. They're endangering the lives of tourists and also Sri Lankans.
Passengers, many. It's ridiculous.
This should not be tolerated. This is the number one reason why I would tell people not to come to Sri Lanka is if they're worried about their health and safety of just moving around.
Right.
I have a friend was walking on the street in Kabalana, a very quiet beach town, where there's no reason why anybody should be driving over 30 kilometers an hour. It's just a little small street. She's walking, a bus comes way too fast, hits her on the arm, breaks her arm, he keeps driving. And she's in a cast. And luckily she's not dead. Because that news can you imagine that news headline, tourist dies from bus accident? It will ruin the tourism.
It happens on a daily basis in large numbers, unfortunately. we know people who have also like, you know, succumbed to accidents as a result of buses, and it's a really bad thing, but it's a much bigger issue to control it because of the unions and whatnot. So, but yeah, definitely, again,
Down with the bus unions.
down with the bus unions. Amazing. I'm so happy you brought that up. And yeah, I think that's it. Anything else you'd like to add for those who might be thinking, who are thinking of coming once the borders open?
I would say come. If you don't come, if you want everything to be like someone to hold your hand through everything and have everything be like, you know, like for example, Thailand, you can go there and you can put a blindfold on and somebody will hold your hand through the country and say, okay, here's your hotel, here's your bus, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Sri Lanka is like Thailand or Bali was 10 or 20 years ago. In a sense, a lot of the infrastructure is not there yet in terms of easy ways to find long-term hotels or long-term apartments, for example, or, you know, getting around even, or the internet.
Yeah.
But it has so many benefits of not being over-touristed or spoiled.
Yep.
So, in a sense, that's why I like Sri Lanka, and I'm willing to put up with the crazy bus drivers, hopefully not for too long.
Yeah.
And have to do these workarounds for the Wi-Fi data caps.
Yep.
Is because overall it's worth it. And I really like going to places that are very authentic, that aren't over touristed yet, that, you know, people are very welcoming, the nature's beautiful. So overall, 100%, I would recommend Sri Lanka.
Awesome, Johnny. Thanks a lot. And also for those of you who haven't seen Johnny's YouTube channel already, make sure you go check it out. He's been traveling around Sri Lanka and he's quite the YouTube sensation right now. That is all for this one. Make sure you check the rest of our series on Work from Paradise. We're trying to encourage people to look at Sri Lanka in different, not just as a tourism destination, but as a destination for digital nomads too. Obviously, we need the stakeholders locally to also make these changes, as we're discussing. Internet is a huge problem which we have to address, not just for tourists, for locals as well. It's inhibiting. And then, like you said, the buses, it's just ridiculous. I mean, we've been all talking about it for so long, and we hope to get a solution there. Sweet. I think that should be about it. Thanks a lot, Johnny.
It's been fun.
Likewise. Cheers.